Thank you, Mr. President. And I hold the sponsor of that resolution that just was adopted in high regard, but I am rising during statements to give a no vote explanation to Senate Resolution 149, which we all saw pass the House earlier this year, a different version of it, and it was immediately politically weaponized in the House districts that we represent. There is a cogent and rational opposition to it, and I'm here to defend that. I think about back in 2017, the Detroit News ran an article that said, quote, Michigan's Republican-led legislature is working to ban local governments from doing things that none have tried, including taxing soda pop. It noted that, quote, no communities have pursued such taxes here, and the state constitution usually prohibits local sales taxes. At the time, I was just one of 7 no votes against that bill in the House, not because I supported taxing pop, but because that bill to me was emblematic of a legislature that pats itself on the back for making something illegal that nobody was even doing anyway. I'm even quoted in that article as saying that this isn't how government should work in Michigan. If there's a policy that we don't like at the local level, there are avenues where citizens at the local level can protest against them. It just seems like we become this big state government that comes in and tells the locals how to run their communities. So 3 years later, today, the majority just adopted Senate Resolution 149 to discourage local units of government from defunding or abolishing police departments. And my opposition remains the same. I haven't heard of a single community in Michigan that is working to abolish their police department. I agree with the lines of this resolution, thanking our sworn law enforcement officers for foiling the plot to overthrow Michigan's state government, a plot that put all of our lives at risk. But the call to action for that, logically, is to ban guns from the Capitol, not to shame our cities, villages, and townships for abolishing police, something they're not even doing. There's also a twisted irony that in this legislature, over the last 2 decades, much of it under Republican control, that the legislature has defunded our police, and defunded the water department, and defunded parks and rec programming, and defunded your library. The legislature has balanced its books on the backs of local units of government and stripped the funding to provide essential services back home, including the police. I know this firsthand. I was a Southfield city councilman, and we had to govern over a hiring freeze in City Hall because the legislature defunded our city. And as a result, we went from a police force of 165 down to 135. And this isn't just a Southfield problem. Communities all over the state are experiencing this. The Michigan Municipal League, where this resolution is being delivered, charted how all 50 state governments share state tax dollars with their local units of government. Some share that money a lot back home, some share it a little, but all the way at the tail end of that graphic is Michigan, where the state has taken away more money from local communities than anywhere else in the country. We fund our communities the worst in the nation. And even though the legislature has spent 2 decades defunding the police, Southfield figured out how to do more with less and is now entering its 12th consecutive year of declining violent crime and declining property crime. We are a safer community even though you defunded the police. And then when I left City Council to come to the legislature, I led the Democrats who fended off Republican attacks to defund negotiated police pensions, retirement benefits, and health care. And even as a progressive legislator from one of our most democratic districts in the state, I was recognized as the Police Officer Association of Michigan's 2018 Legislator of the Year because you tried to defund the police. Obviously, I'm hot about this. This non-binding resolution seems innocuous, but it adds to the rhetoric that somehow my caucus is anti-public safety, which is demonstrably false. And as someone who stands up for my local units of government back home, this resolution doesn't warrant my support. And I hope that my remarks will be printed in the journal, and I hope that this resonates with our local communities back home. Thank you, Mr. President.